Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ahmad Jumroni from class Philosophy of Science, and right now I want to explain about scientific thinking method, inductive and deductive. First of all, I want to introduce you about science of philosophy. Scientific knowledge developed through a thinking process that is organized, logical, and critical. In the philosophy of science, the scientific methods play an important role in separating scientific knowledge from ordinary knowledge. Two main approaches are the inductive method, which draw general conclusion from many specific facts, and the deductive method, which takes specific conclusion from general principle. These two methods cannot be separated because they support each other in building, testing, and proving scientific truth. The first, the definition. Scientific thinking is a thinking process based on logic and empirical evidence. This process involves observation, reasoning, and drawing conclusions to obtain valid and reliable knowledge. Scientific thinking functions to distinguish scientific knowledge from ordinary knowledge. Two main methods used are the inductive method, which draw general conclusions from very specific facts, and the deductive method, which draws specific conclusions from general principle. These two methods complement each other under building, testing scientific truth. Second, characteristic of scientific thinking. Scientific thinking has several specific characteristics, such as the first one is rational, based on logic that can be accepted by the mind. Second, empirical, supported by real data or fact. Third one, systematic, follow clear and structured steps. Objective, focus on the truth without being influenced by a personal interest. And then analytical, able to break down problems into smaller parts to understand them. The last one is variable. The conclusion can be tested and proven to be true. Three aspects in the philosophy of science. Scientific thinking in the philosophy of science is related to three main dimensions: ontology discussion, the object studied by science; epistemology, focus on how knowledge is obtained through scientific method, both inductive and deductive. The last one, sociology, emphasizes the goals and benefits of knowledge for human life. By understanding these three dimensions, the scientific method not only differentiates scientific knowledge from non-scientific knowledge, but also ensure that science developed consistently, is well tested, and provides benefit for society. Solution: with the inductive method, we start by observing various facts around us. From this fact, we try to formulate a general conclusion or theory that explains the observed phenomenon. This method is very useful for discovering a new thing and building knowledge that did not exist before. With the inductive method, we can discover new things that were previously unknown. Then, with the deductive method, we can check and ensure that those new findings are true and not mistaken. Therefore, science not only developed, but its quality it also maintained so that it does not become a careless. Challenges: although inductive and deductive methods are very important, there are some challenges in applying them. One major challenge is that inductive conclusions are not always absolutely certain because they are based only on observation of a limited number of examples. This means this means there is a possibility that the conclusion is incorrect if the example observed are incomplete or not is representative. Meanwhile, in deductive method, relies heavily on the truth of in the premise of rule. In this premise of wrong or incomplete, then the conclusion produced can also be wrong or misleading. Role: the scientific thinking method plays a very important role in distinguishing true scientific knowledge from ordinary opinion. Through inductive and deductive method, scientific knowledge can be tested and constantly improved. Knowledge that developed in this way is very useful for daily life. So, science is not an absolute truth that cannot change, but a truth can always be improved and refined over time. Scientific truth in the inductive and deductive perspective. In scientific thinking, there are two main approaches. First, the inductive method, which concludes from many small facts to general conclusion. However, this conclusion is not absolute. It is only most likely to be true. And second, the deductive method, which starts from a general theory of principle and then applies it to a specific case. If the premise is correct, then the result will surely correct. From this, we learn that scientific truth is not absolute. It can always be tested and improved. For example, a doctor observes many patients and identifies a pattern of disease, then use general medical theories to treat a particular patient. Limitation and challenges of the method. The inductive method can be wrong if the data is not complete. For example, we might see many white swans and then conclude that they're also white, but in fact there are black swans on the other place, so our initial conclusion is correct. Meanwhile, the deductive method can be wrong if the initial premise is incorrect. For example, if we use the wrong formula, the result will definitely be wrong even though the steps are logical. It shows that scientific truth is temporary. It can always be retested, criticized, and revised. Relevant to development of science. Science developed because the cooperation between inclusion and deduction is used to discover theories from observation, but deduction is not to the theory. For example, Newton observed that falling from a tree, and from the observation, the theory of gravity was created. Then the theory of gravity used deductively to calculate the trajectory of satellites. So scientific knowledge becomes strong because induction and deduction complement each other. Conclusion. In conclusion, we can say that the scientific thinking method is an important foundation in the philosophy of science and distinguishes valid knowledge from the more opinion. The inductive method helps us draw general conclusion from very specific fact, while the deductive method is used to test and apply theory to particular cases. These two methods complement each other so that scientific knowledge develops in a rational, systematic, and accountable way. From the philosophical point of view, this shows that scientific truth is not absolute but always open to criticism and progression as new data and discovery appear. So, is that for me? If forgive me if I had a mistake from this presentation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.